Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
At the sanitarium, Portia speaks with Britt about taking a maternity test that autumn. They go off to get a blood sample, and Portia says she'll shoot Isaiah to get swabbed. Portia and Isaiah connect, and she tells him she's ready to find out the verity and needs him to submit a impertinence tar. Isaiah admits he wants so important for the baby to be his, but promises to stay by her side no matter the outcome. Curtis and Jordan share some romance. Curtis stops by Jordan's place for a bit of love. They snuggle on the settee by the fire and catch up. When she gets a communication from her master, Jordan's frustrated she's no near to taking Jen's down, but Curtis has faith in her. Their talk turns to Portia, and Curtis admits he hovered his nearly partner with legal action over a maternity test. Still, he cooled down and realized his mistake. Just also, Portia calls to inform him that she has taken the test and is staying for the results. Joss gets caught with what? At her place, Joss looks through Faison's book and the cigarillos she set up at Windmere. Trina walks by and asks, "What are you smoking?" Joss covers, claiming they are hers but her study mates, who left them here. Joss asks about her fresh bedsheets, and Trina explains her mama boarded in her room the night of the storm. She says there was a thaw between them, and she knows she'll have to let go of her wrathfulness to have a relationship with her stock. That's when she gets a call from her mama letting her know she's staying on the test results. Trina heads to the sanitarium, and Portia is glad to see her. Isaiah interrupts to say the lab is assaying their samples, and his face shafts with excitement. He realizes he should give Portia and Trina time alone, but Portia asks him to stay, if it's okay with Trina. Trina principally gives him a sure, as it's what it is, answer. Jason and Danny have a talk at the Quartermains. Jason asks his son if he got what he demanded from his grandma. Danny did, and confides in his pater that he and Charlotte kissed the night of the blizzard. Danny says he and Charlotte feel to click, and until lately, he considered her only a friend. Jason asks how Charlotte feels, and Danny admits he doesn't know. Jason suggests he reach out to her to ensure they're on the same runner. Danny thanks his pater for hearkening to him. Latterly, Jason shows up at Joss' place, as she texted him, and shows him the book and cigarillos she set up at Windmere in Cullum's possession. He wants her to tell him everything. Charlotte visits her dad. Charlotte visits her pater in Carly's garret, and he pulls her into a clinch. He's so relieved she didn't go out into the storm, and she says it was Danny who talked her out of it. Valentine asks if Danny knows about him, and his son admits he does. Charlotte assures her father that they can trust Danny, but Nina is the one he should be careful with. She tells her father about Nina's deal with Jack to learn further about him. Valentine doesn't appear concerned about Nina, but is bended on Danny keeping his secret. Charlotte says she trusts Danny completely, and she needs to get going so her tail doesn't get suspicious. They clinch goodbye. Carly plays nice at Windmere. Carly asks to speak with Lucas intimately, so Marco and Sidwell depart. Carly tells Lucas she hasn't been fair to him and Marco and was wrong. She no longer wants to fight with him and misses her family. Lucas appreciates the trouble, but her reason isn't enough. He says she needs to make in trouble to get to know Marco. Lucas needs her to get along with Marco to be part of his life again. Marco and Sidwell return, and Carly apologizes to Marco for judging him unfairly because of his father. As they talk, Pascal eavesdrops. Marco thanks Carly and accepts her reason, and promises he'll no way hurt Lucas. Lucas thanks his family and leverages her. Sidwell is happy that Carly took him up on his offer, and she's hello then any time. She thanks him, and also she takes the ferry back with Lucas, who's demanded at the sanitarium. Lucas kisses Marco farewell, which the espionage, and yes, putatively jealous, Pascal watches. Alone, Sidwell asks Marco if he believed Carly's reason, and his son did. Still, he's concerned that Carly could be a problem for the two of them. That's when Lucas returns, eavesdrops at the door, and hears Marco tell his father they see ain't risk having Carly poking around then. Lucy wants Sonny to discipline Sidwell at Sonny's. He's confused by Lucy's request to clean Sidwell's timepiece, as he allowed. They were in point. Lucy says they were, until Ava began throwing herself at Jen's. Sunny refuses to do as she asks, noting she might change her mind and get back with Sidwell. Lucy says that what Aunt B and confides in Sunny that she believes Jens is using deception to transport illegal goods. Sunny cautions her that if Sidwell caught her poking into his business, it would be bad. That prompts the troublemaker to decide to supplicate Sidwell's remission, get back with him, and go in for the kill when he drops his guard. In the show's final moments, Joss fills Jason in on her poking at Windmere, what she set up, and that Cullum bought her claim that she was just there to see her uncle. She hasn't told any of this to Jack, who reports to Cullum. Jason fills her in that Sidwell and Cullum are mates on Faison's final project. Danny textbooks Charlotte to meet up, and she agrees. Carly checks in on Valentine in her garret and fills him in on the raids she made with her family, but she didn't have time to get into the vault. She was going to question Lucas during the lift back, but he'd to turn around because he'd forgotten his phone. Still, soon, she'll get access to the catacombs. At Windmere, Lucas listens as Marco tells his pater that Carly could catch Britt in the vault, but Sidwell says they've set up a way to keep Britt under control. The baddie explains they're keeping her life savings meds then and from her until she completes their design. Lucas is startled and backs down from the door, at which point Pascal spots him. At Sunny's, Lucy continues to rant on about her plan to get close to Jens and impale him in the reverse. At home, Jordan recalls Portia advising her that if the baby turned out to be Curtis, he'd choose the baby over Jordan. Curtis arrives at the sanitarium because he couldn't sit at home and stay. Britt soon arrives with the results, and Portia opens them and reads them. She turns to everyone. The expression on her face seems to allude that the baby is Curtis, but we'll have to stay until hereafter to find out. Lucas Jones was frightened over Marco Rios and Jen Sidwell's stunner. At Windmere, Carly Spencer apologized to Lucas, but it wasn't enough. Lucas demanded Carly to accept that Marco was part of his life, so she claimed she was willing to do that. Carly apologized to Marco coming and claimed she was sorry for judging him because of his father. After Carly assured Marco that she knew he was his own man, she also conceded that Marco made Lucas happy. Marco accepted Carly's reason and promised he wouldn't hurt Lucas, so Sidwell allowed. They should celebrate this love fest with amalgamations. Still, Lucas got a communication about being demanded at the sanitarium and suggested Carly could take the launch back to the landmass with him. Sidwell assured Carly that she was welcome to come back so she could get to know Marco more. Pascal lurked around wiretapping while all this was going on and sounded suspicious. After Lucas forgot his phone and returned to Windmere, he eavesdropped Marco talking to Sidwell about how nosy Carly could be a problem for them. Marco didn't want Carly making any vault discoveries regarding Britt Westbourne. Sidwell mentioned how they'd be keeping Britt's drug at Windmere now to keep her in line. Lucas reeled as he learned Britt was being forced to complete the design to stay alive. As Lucas stood there looking affrighted, Pascal watched hard and putatively realized Lucas had just learned too important. At Carly's house, Charlotte Cassadine showed up to see Valentine Cassadine in the garret and admitted Danny Morgan also knew Valentine was there. Valentine bothered Danny couldn't be trusted, but Charlotte argued Nina Reeves was the bone who couldn't be trusted rather since she had a deal with Jack Brennan to score information. Charlotte admitted she'd formerly told Nina that they'd been in touch, but she assured Valentine that was all she said. Valentine bothered about Danny cracking if Brennan grilled him, but Charlotte passionately defended him. Valentine realized Charlotte had a lot of faith in Danny, but he still wanted her to be careful and looked reflective as she took off. When Carly returned, she admitted she vented her reason, but she couldn't probe the vault yet. Valentine was satisfied with Carly's progress since she'd laid the route for further Windmere visits. Carly claimed she'd find out the verity of what was going on during her coming trip to the castle. At the Quartermain manse, Jason Morgan got updates on Danny's kiss with Charlotte and learned he hadn't talked to her about it yet. Jason allowed. That demanded to be to make sure Charlotte was on the same runner. Once Jason left, Danny reached out to Charlotte via textbook to set up a meeting. At Jocelyn Jack's and Trina Robinson's apartment, Trina caught Jocelyn with the cigarillos and bothered her bestie had picked up a smoking habit. Jocelyn claimed they belonged to study mate who forgot them there, so Trina bought the taradiddle. Since Jocelyn noticed her wastes had been changed, she was surprised to learn Portia Robinson stayed the night during the snowstorm. Trina wanted a relationship with her baby family or family anyhow of the maternity, so that had to start with making peace with Portia. Once Portia called about her decision to take the maternity test, Trina headed to GH and surprised her mama with her in-person support. Portia got Britt to handle the test for her and let Isaiah Gannon know they demanded his DNA tar. Isaiah wanted to make sure Curtis Ashford didn't pressure Portia into this, but she credited Elizabeth Baldwin for helping her see that it was time to learn the verity and face the consequences. At Jordan Ashford's place, Curtis admitted he might have made a politic error by hanging Portia with a court order. Curtis didn't plan to apply it if Portia didn't come through, but she surprised him by calling and averring he was getting his want. Once Curtis left for the sanitarium, Jordan flashed back to a former battle with Portia. Jordan sounded reflective as she recalled Portia acting like Curtis would choose the baby over Jordan if he too. Latterly, Britt delivered the results to Portia as Trina, Isaiah, and Curtis all stood near. Portia opened up the envelope and looked at the test outgrowth while the others awaited the biopater. News. After Jocelyn summoned Jason to her place, she showed him Caesar Faison's book and his favorite brand of cigarillos. Jocelyn explained how she made these discoveries at Windmere after cutting the power and spending the evening with Ross Cullum, who pretended to be a caretaker for the property. Although Jocelyn knew Cullum was WSB, she assured Jason that Cullum didn't know about her own agent status. Jason also got evidence that Jocelyn hadn't told Brennan any of this and felt this should stay between them. Jocelyn was curious about the Faison connection, so Jason confessed that Cullum was Sidwell's mate on Faison's final design. At Sonny Corinthos' place, Lucy Coe fumed over Sidwell's response to her Ava Jerome claim and explained her vengeance plot. Lucy felt confident Sidwell was using his deception connection to import illegal goods and wanted to take him down. Sonny advised about the threat of tilting Sidwell off, so Lucy decided she'd pretend to get patch effects up with Sidwell and get sneaky to find out his import secrets. Sonny sounded pleased over Lucy playing right into his own plans to go after Sidwell. General Hospital spoilers say Lucy could get in over her head if she's not careful, so stay tuned. At General Hospital, the atmosphere feels heavy, charged with nerves, hope, and the sense that lives are about to shift in irreversible ways. Portia Robinson stands at the center of it all, gathering her courage as she speaks quietly with Britt Westbourne about moving forward with the paternity test that very afternoon. There is no more postponing, no more circling around the truth. Portia knows that uncertainty has been poisoning everyone involved, Curtis, Isaiah, Trina, even herself. With a steady but emotional resolve, she agrees to the blood draw. Britt, professional yet compassionate, guides her through the next steps, promising swift results. Portia then makes it clear that Isaiah will need to provide a cheek swab to complete the process. This is the moment she has both dreaded and needed. When Portia finds Isaiah, there is an unmistakable tenderness between them. He listens as she explains that she is ready, truly ready, to face whatever the truth reveals. Isaiah doesn't hide his own vulnerability. He admits that a part of him desperately wants this child to be his. The idea of fatherhood, of building something lasting with Portia, fills him with quiet longing. Yet he doesn't pressure her. Instead, he offers something stronger than expectation, unwavering support. No matter what the test says, he vows to stand beside her. His encouraging words wrap around Portia like a shield, steadying her trembling heart. Across town, Curtis Ashford seeks comfort of a different kind. He stops by Jordan's place, where the warmth of a crackling fire and familiar affection offer temporary escape from the emotional whirlwind. They settle onto the couch together, sharing gentle touches and quiet laughter. For a moment, the chaos of Port Charles fades. Yet reality intrudes when Jordan receives a message from her superior regarding the elusive Jen Sidwell. Frustration flashes across her face. She feels stalled, no closer to bringing him down than before. Curtis, ever supportive, reassures her that persistence will pay off. He believes in her strength, her instincts, her integrity. His confidence in her abilities softens her irritation. Eventually, the conversation turns to Portia. Curtis admits he made a misstep, threatening legal action to force the paternity test. He confesses that anger and fear clouded his judgment. After cooling down, he recognized the mistake. He doesn't want to bully Portia into compliance, he wants the truth to come willingly. Almost as if summoned by fate, his phone rings. It's Portia. She informs him that the test has been taken and the results are pending. Curtis absorbs the news in silence, a mixture of relief and dread tightening his chest. Meanwhile, at her apartment, Jocelyn Jacks finds herself tangled in secrets of her own. She studies the contents of Caesar Faison's mysterious book and the distinct cigarillos she discovered at Windermere. The items are evidence, clues pointing toward a much larger conspiracy. She barely has time to hide them when Trina walks in and teasingly asks if she has taken up smoking. Joss scrambles to cover, claiming the cigars belong to a study partner who left them behind. Trina accepts the explanation, though her curiosity lingers. Their conversation shifts when Joss notices the freshly changed bedsheets. Trina explains that Portia stayed the night during the blizzard, an unexpected step toward reconciliation. There has been a thaw in their strained relationship. Trina acknowledges that if she wants a connection with her future sibling, she must release the bitterness she has been carrying. Growth requires grace. Just then, Portia calls to say she is awaiting the paternity results. Determined to support her mother in person, Trina heads straight to the hospital. At GH, Portia is visibly moved when Trina arrives. Isaiah steps in briefly to share that the lab is analyzing their samples. His excitement is difficult to mask, hope radiates from him. Realizing the moment may belong to mother and daughter, he offers to give them space. Portia, however, asks him to stay, if Trina is comfortable with that. Trina responds with measured calm. Whatever the outcome, it is what it is. The honesty in her tone signals maturity beyond her years. Elsewhere at the Quartermain mansion, Jason Morgan checks in with his son. Danny admits that during the blizzard, he and Charlotte shared a kiss. The confession carries both wonder and uncertainty. Until recently, Danny viewed Charlotte strictly as a friend, but something shifted. Jason listens without judgment, offering grounded advice. He suggests Danny talk to Charlotte directly to ensure they understand each other's feelings. Communication, he reminds his son, prevents confusion and heartbreak. Danny appreciates his father's steady guidance. Later, Jason heads to Joss's apartment after receiving her urgent text. She reveals everything she uncovered at Windermere, Faison's book, the cigarillos, her encounter with Ross Cullum. Jason's expression darkens as he processes the implications. He informs Joss that Sidwell and Cullum are partners in executing Faison's final project. The pieces are aligning into a far more dangerous picture than either anticipated. At Windermere, Carly Spencer attempts to mend fractured family ties. She requests a private conversation with Lucas, setting aside her usual defensiveness. Carly admits she judged Marco unfairly because of his father. She acknowledges she allowed prejudice to cloud her perspective and confesses she misses her brother deeply. Lucas listens but remains cautious. Words alone are not enough. If Carly wants to be part of his life, she must genuinely accept Marco. When Carly extends a heartfelt apology to Marco, promising to see him as his own man rather than an extension of Sidwell, the tension softens. Marco accepts her apology, vowing never to hurt Lucas. They share a fragile but hopeful embrace. Yet not all ears at Windermere are friendly. Pascal lurks nearby, observing every interaction with suspicion. And once Lucas briefly returns after forgetting his phone, he overhears a chilling conversation. Marco expresses concern that Carly's curiosity could uncover secrets hidden in the catacombs, secrets involving Britt Westbourne. Sidwell coldly explains their leverage. They are withholding Britt's life-saving medication to ensure she completes their project. The revelation horrifies Lucas. Britt's survival depends on obedience. As Lucas recoils from the doorway, Pascal notices his reaction, recognizing that Lucas may now know too much. In Carly's attic, Charlotte reunites with Valentine Cassadine. Their embrace is filled with relief. Charlotte assures her father that Danny can be trusted, though she warns him about Nina's alliance with Jack Brennan. Valentine remains wary, particularly about Danny's ability to withstand interrogation. Charlotte's faith in Danny is unwavering, but Valentine's protective instincts keep him cautious.